The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Supernatural, metaphysical, paranormal. You know, all those things you've been wondering about? Are you ready to go deeper into the realms of the unknown? I hope you've got your walking shoes on, because life is an adventure, and this is the journey. Come on, let's go. Hello and welcome to the show, everyone. This is the Journey Radio Show, and hey, we're showing up as the She-Squatchers. I'm Jen Cruz, your host, and I've got my trusty teammates on the line. I've got Jenna Grover.
Hello.
And Tammy Trickle. Hi, Tammy.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, we've got a really special guest lined up for tonight. He's a really good friend of ours that we met. It's been quite a few years ago now. He's an author. He lives in the UK. We've got Andy McGrath. Andy, welcome to the show.
Hello. How y'all doing?
Good. We're so excited you would stay up this late and talk to us. What time is it in there over there?
It is 3 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, wow.
So
That is how much you love us.
I love you guys so much. I didn't even want to go to sleep. I had 2 hours of sleep. I was too excited. I was jumping. Wanted to get on the show.
Well, we were too, actually. I was so excited to see you tonight.
Wow.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Long time. Actually, that intro, that little dancing intro, reminded me of our dance, Jen.
Oh, yes.
At the Kentucky. We high school prom slow danced.
We did.
Remember that?
It was a 9th grade dance. We were very far apart and just doing the rock thing.
It was appropriately awkward. And yeah, it really was. And good fun. Such good fun.
Yes.
I can't wait until the next time. We got the same event.
Same. They had karaoke. It was awesome.
What really shocked me was how many Bigfoot researchers were former rock stars.
That is a funny vortex. Actually, I'm a former singer as well. And in fact, former singer. Yeah, a former singer. 32 years, something like that. And we just saw it, and all these guys came on. I think somebody even did a version of Sir Mix-a-Lot's Babies Got Back. It was insane. Really well, though. Better than Sir Mix-a-Lot, to be honest. And it was great. Such a good time.
I think that was Rodney, wasn't it? That did that.
I don't know, because I didn't know him anyway. I just remember thinking, wow, this version is better.
It was awesome.
That was the place that I had walked in a little bit later, and they said, "I'm sorry, this is only for what did they say? The event people that were coming in. They didn't know I was part of the team, so they were going to turn me away." I said, "Well," and then the person inside said, "Don't you know who she is?" He got really upset. I was like, "It's not a big deal." Not a big deal, but it was kind of funny that someone had stood up for me. So
it's actually my entire ambition, my life's goal, to be in a position where somebody tells somebody else and ask them, do they not know who I am? They don't generally. It's just,
funny.
You know who this guy is? I'm like, I don't know that guy. Not coming in.
Yeah, right.
Well, we know who you are. We know who you are.
We
were quite surprised. Though at that event, it was fairly young in our She-Squatchers days, and here comes Andy. He was a speaker at the Cryptid Con in Kentucky, and he comes around the corner. He's like, "Oh my gosh, it's the She-Squatchers!" He was all excited, and we're like, "Shut up! You don't know who we are." He's like, "Yeah, I do."
I did. Well, it stands out as well. At the time, there's more now, but there wasn't a lot of ladies around in Bigfooting anyway. A few key players, but not really many. I just thought, wow, they're here. In fact, everybody was at that conference. Everybody. It was amazing.
was
and
fun
was your
time.
neighbor. It was just such a nice time. And I'd had a really harrowing week in Vermont the week before. So it was just kind of like, wow, okay, this is much better. Thank you. Thank you, good people.
Yay. Well, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit of your background in cryptozoology and the books that you've written?
Okay, so I'm the author of a book called Beasts of Britain, which is something the background is I was a former musician, got married, moved to London, got a corporate job in healthcare, and did the normal, 50 hours a week, 3-hour daily commute every day, had 2 children, and reached 40, which is in 2016, and just suddenly thought, I want to do something different. This is really boring, and, our lives have been sucked out to the London Underground every day. And my wife, we'd saved a bit of money. We decided we'd both do our own little project. And she said, what about this monsters thing you're always talking about? Because I had my music. I always had these children's books that I was kind of working on and ideas. What about your monsters thing you're always jamming on about all the time? And I said, oh, wow, okay. Yeah, maybe I could do something like that. Maybe a TV series. And I started putting it together. And a friend of mine who was in TV said, well, somebody's just going to steal that. Why don't you write a book? And another friend American friend actually had said, what have you even got there? It's like Nessie, and that's the whole thing. There's nothing else. Just forget it, sort of thing. And I was wanting to prove him wrong, and started looking at Britain, finding all these stories: British Bigfoot, werewolves, dogman, sea serpents, lake monsters everywhere, big cats, which I've been into for a while anyway. And thought, well, okay, let's put it in the book. And wrote the book and published in 2017, the first version. Looked at that about 2 years later in 2019, went, oh, woof, you got to rewrite this thing. And because it's the first book. And then again, decided in 2021 to rewrite a third version after signing up with Hanger One Publishing with Doug Hychek and Alex's son. Yeah. And they said, well, look, this TV series idea you have, this other one, this world one, can that be a series of books too? And I had this idea, Beasts of the World, which was kind of ingrained into the original idea, only I was going to do it country by country. And it's okay, that's great. I'll write a Beasts of the World book about cryptids all around the world. Started writing it in the summer, and fleshed out the whole thing. Immediately after a month, realized I was going to about 1,200 pages. And think, well, nobody's going to buy that and read it. It just bore the life out of them. Why don't you split it up into definitions, creatures by creatures? So I've done a 7-part series. And the first part, Beasts of the World Volume 1, Hairy Humanoids, is about Bigfoot, Wildman-like creatures all around the world. And it's just been published on Hanger One in January. And here we are with some more crazy theories about our hairy friends.
Well, tell us a little bit more about this new book.
Well, basically, I was reading the literature, and I love people like, all the obvious ones, got Lauren and all those guys, Jeff Meldrum. I was reading a lot of other people, like David Chu, who wrote a great book about cryptids in China, Marie-Jean Kaufman, obviously the Almasty researcher, Dmitry Bayanev, and Boris Bushnev, and all these different guys around the world, Geordie Magriner, who studied the Bar Manu, and many other hairy humanoid researchers around the world, and thought this is so much more of a bigger picture than the North American Bigfoot. And I've been entrenched in this Woodwose or British Bigfoot thing for the last few years as well, defending that, investigating it, being unsure about its veracity, although there's a historical background to it, and saying, okay, let's look at the other ones around the world. And quickly realized after that, well, we're not really talking about just the man-ape type, like the big, giant North American Sasquatch. You've got another wild man type that seems a bit more Neanderthal-like, as Jeff Meldrum would explain it, and another again that seems a bit more like some kind of relic ape, and then even more like the Littlefoot creatures. Could that be a proto-pygmy? Is it a diminutive bipedal primate like the orang-pendek? And just went on. There was a monkey monsters in there. I included a bit of Dogman, simply because I do think the theory that was proposed, I think, I don't know if it was originally by Lauren, but somebody like that, that they could be an extant form of giant monkey that was once common in Europe and is no longer very common, and just jammed them all into this book together with categories and classifications of what they look like, the descriptions, the sightings, and any evidence that might add to them being a possibility in the world. And that was it, 375 pages done, and hopefully it makes some sense.
Well, I'll be buying one. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Where can we buy that?
It's on all of the online stores, paperback and Kindles, and Amazon and Barnes and Noble and everywhere else. You can get it, and I think it's all the main platforms. I even found it on a large British bookstore, Waterstones, which really made my day. It's like, oh, that's where I shop for my books. So that's if you look for it online, I know most people use Amazon and Barnes and Noble, two easy places to find it. You'll find it there. And it's in all of the ebook, like streamed in Kindle and all the other ones, so you can find it wherever you're looking.
Yes, I actually looked it up. Beasts of Britain, Andy McGrath, and it has, let's see.
His new one is Beasts of the World.
Beasts of the World, yeah.
Oh, okay. And is that going to be available on
that's
Amazon
available.
too?
Yeah, it's already there. It's there.
Huh. Well, I'm going to have to keep looking.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the first volume. Volume 2 is coming in the summer, where we're going to look at some of our watery, aquatic monsters around the world, not just like monsters and sea serpents, but the whole genre. Anything water-based will be in there.
And so that will include sirens and mermaids as well?
There is a little section on mermaids. Yes, there is a little section on mermaids, the tailed kind. In this book, actually, I put more of an ambiguous category at the end for, I call it amphibious anthropoids, simply because there's so much difference between them. I didn't include the tailed kind because I thought, well, a lot of these are Bigfoot-like, but they have this semi-aquatic nature, like the Rusalka of I think that's in the Caucasus in Russia. The Rusalka, basically, it's this hairy wild woman. Looks a bit like an almasty, but it lives largely in the water, and it likes to tickle young men to death till they drown in the water. And there's a great sighting there from one of the Russian authors. Let me see if I can just find it for you. And it's just amazing. This guy, he's hunting. He goes for a bit of a swim, and he gets a bit of a surprise when this very hideous, hairy, large-breasted wild woman covered in hair starts giggling and tickling him from behind. There's a big legend about this in that part of the world as well. There's even an opera, a great opera in Ukraine about it. So it's at the Desna River in Ukraine, and let's look at the Russian novelist. There we go. Ivan Turgenev. I read about this in Dmitry Bayanov's In the Footsteps of the Russian Snowman, which is a great book, full of awesome researchers. So he's in the forest. He's stripped. He's dived into this water on a hot day, and then he turns to see this horrible creature with this wrinkled, smiling face staring hungrily at him. Two large breasts floating in front of it, massive tangled sun-bleached hair hanging around its face, and he tries to get to the shore really quickly, as you do, and it's tickling his neck and his back and legs and constantly cackling, and he last sees this creature disappearing into the trees, almost like a female gorilla, I suppose he described it, for lack of a better term. But this whole area that he's in has the almasty, and it has these great stories over years and years of the local farmers and people, having interactions with these creatures, even offering them occasionally clothing or food in the winter, and knowing about the behaviors really well. So I thought that's a really poignant story. I'm not a great swimmer. That would have definitely drowned me, that experience.
I was going to ask you, had you ever thought about going out there
Definitely. Oh,
to
absolutely.
get tickled to death?
Well,
Just kidding.
I've got 2 young children, so I get tickled to death regularly anyway.
Oh.
But it's no, I would definitely go there. There's a little series pitch that we've been doing for the last few months, and it's similar to the book in its premise. It would be about going to these different places and seeing if there's anything behind the histories. But I would love to go to the Caucasus or to the Ukraine. Maybe not the Ukraine right now, but in that area in general would be fantastic.
Well, you do a lot of traveling in the meantime, don't you? Or have you kind of cut that down for a little while?
It's been a bit difficult this last 2 years. We
That's
had
true.
some really, really strict protocols, which I was just mentioning before. Nearly all of them have been removed now, which is fantastic. I'm looking forward to getting out there again. But the testing and the isolating, and at one point you had to stay in a hotel for 10 years next to the airport, which was horrible. And I think there was a 10-year prison sentence for coming back from a red list country and not declaring it or not isolating in an official facility at one point. Yeah. So it was, travel wasn't big on the agenda, but everything seems to be like everywhere else, not wanting to go into that side of things, but everything seems to be loosening up, which is wonderful. Lots of travel to come. Absolutely.
Yes. And you make sure, if you're coming to the United States, please make sure and get a hold of us. We may be close, so.
Well,
Are there plans? Are there any plans in the works?
I'm hoping to get there this year. It really depends if our pitch is successful. And we have been meeting some good people, and you know how these things go. You meet and they love it, and then 2 months later you meet again to talk about how they loved it and they'd like to meet you in 2 months. So yeah, I don't know. I've been banging on about this TV idea for ages. I don't want to put too much into it. Regardless, I would like to come into the conferences this year. I think it would be a good opportunity, and just do the whole stretch and get to see some more She-Squatchers. I'm sure you guys will be at most of them.
I don't think we could be at all of them. There's so many now.
There are many. Yeah.
Yes. And I think it was, I don't know how 3-4 years ago, we had to start limiting how many we were doing, because literally there was 5 or 6 months that Jenna and I were traveling 2-3 weeks out of the month.
Wow.
And we'd wake up in a hotel and we'd be like, okay, where are we? And where do we have to be? What time are we speaking? And
Wait, are we speaking?
What's going on today? Where are we? And we literally we would lose track of what city we were in or what conference we were at, because it was just insane.
And we don't really have a lot of time for ourselves when we go there too. Sorry, Jen, go ahead.
No, she's right about that. So we started limiting how many we were doing.
You're on tour, basically. That feeling. You're on tour. You're at the disposal of the venue. You're not going into the city to sort of check it out. You're just seeing a list of either airports, if you're traveling that way, or motorways, and hotels and conference rooms, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's
although last summer we did have a pretty good time. We were tightly packed for at least 1 month, and we had fit in was it 2 or 3 conferences in that month's time, plus an expedition with a bunch of other researchers. So we were really flying high. We were run.
I thought was that filmed? Was a small documentary made of that? Is it out now?
Yes, it is. It's Jason Kenzie's work. It's Search for Sasquatch Chapter 3, and it's on Vimeo.
I'll find out. It was on my list. I made a little list of things I've got to watch soon, and I'm sure I saw that pop up. Oh, the girls, quickly, put that in. But look, I love the expeditions, and I haven't been on a good one for a few years now. I would just like to get out to the US as well, but also to these other world places. I was looking at a few other creatures in the book, like the orang dalam of Malaysia, and just thinking, wow, they've found footprints, I think, as recently as 2017 or something like that. And getting to those really beautiful, pristine environments and just having a look around, hopefully not getting by a tiger or something like that. And look into these legends, because I really think we miss a trick. The rest of the world doesn't have the same pop culture as the United States, where you can like something like Bigfoot and make a thing out of it, where everybody will show interest and it's worthwhile investigating. In the rest of the planet, there's these odd individuals that have dedicated their lives to searching for these creatures, and nobody finds them, and nobody really knows about them either. Apart from the odd article we might get sharing some of their work. It's a mystery. So I think let's bring all those other hairy mysteries in and try and classify them. Maybe they're the same as the ones we're looking into. Who knows?
The adventure is my favorite part. I love going on adventures.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. The same.
Not only that, but getting to be around the earth and get away from the city and get away from people, and you can just absorb that beautiful energy out there. It's so wonderful. I agree, Tammy. It's all about it. It's the adventure.
Absolutely. I was thinking about the age of exploration before, and I was looking at that didn't end really so long ago, maybe the 20s or 30s, the last century, and just thinking, we've got Google Maps now, and we really think you can zoom in on a place and know what's there in a way, or know what it looks like, or feel that everything's been classified somehow, regardless of the many species we seem to be discovering every year anyway. And it's a weird way to be, because actually the age of exploration it never ended. We just lost interest in it. And I think of people like Colonel Percy Fawcett went to the Amazon and described so many strange things. He claimed to see an ape-like people called the Maracoxy, and everybody doubted him. He eventually went missing, looking for the lost city of Z, I think, in Brazil, the Amazon rainforest, with his son, never found again, presumed killed, I think, by some tribe. And he described these people there as well, as called the Maracoxy, and some interaction with him. These ape-like people had bows and arrows and everything. And a lot of people said, well, he's making things up. He also described a giant serpent and a sauropod like dinosaur, and a huge spider, and a double-nosed hound, double-nostriled hound. And I thought, well, that makes sense. There was a lot of sensationalism back in those days. So, yeah, it would make sense that they kind of wanted to bring back good tales, perhaps for funding, from rich millionaires, or just to entertain audiences in speaker events when they got back. And then I was looking at a Carl Schuker article. I noticed that Carl had discovered that actually there was a double-nosed Andean hound. It exists. And they only really discovered it, or officially discovered it, a few years ago. I put a picture in the book of it, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. So, he was telling the truth about the double-nosed Andean tiger hound. That's what it's called. There's pictures of them. You can find them online. Could he have been telling the truth about the other things as well? His mission finished with his death, but have we maybe abandoned these missions? I think we should just get back out there. We've got work to do, all of us,
Well, maybe he didn't die. Maybe they discovered some new civilization that was so amazing that they're like, you know what? We're staying.
We're staying. I know that's going to happen to me. I'd be that kind of guy. Okay, food's good. They grow coffee here. I'll just stay.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
We could discover Atlantis. We'd never want to leave.
Yeah, apparently Atlantean coffee is awesome. So really good. So keeps you up for days. But there's stuff like that that used to be around that we've sort of dismissed as well. I mean, these explorers and dismissed sometimes as well as a sort of, I mean, their tales. His tale of the Maricoxy. I wonder if that was linked to sort of this early Darwinian thought of favored races and things, and had he actually just discovered perhaps a pierced and tattooed and decorated tribe somewhere in the forest and presumed them ape-like, in this sort of 19th century European not supremacy, but in a way supremacy, but in thought of who we were and what we considered everybody else to be in their progression. Or were they really some sort of Neanderthal that hadn't advanced any further than that stage, and he discovered them just as they were there in the forest?
And how many years did it take to actually get that proof? The poor man's family.
With the dog, that he died. I mean, he never came back, and he was last seen going in search of the city of Z. When did he go missing? I've got it here somewhere. So he saw that dog in 1913, the Andean double-nosed tiger hound. Where did he? Well,
1913. Wow, that's over 100 years ago.
I don't have the date to hand when he went missing. I think it was in the 20s, actually. Okay. Okay. Oh, nice one, Andy. You said he went missing, looking for the lost city of Z, and you didn't give him a date. I'll find that now. I think it was the 1920s, and never seen again. Never seen again.
With his son?
With his son, yeah. With his son.
That's too bad.
Yeah, but he, that horrible saying people always give when somebody dies before he died doing what he loves. Everybody dies doing what they love, apparently, which is why I always avoid things I enjoy.
All right, that was funny.
Yeah. There's all these articles out at the moment in the British press about stuff that can cause heart attacks, and some of them are pretty silly. And recently there's one about making the bed can cause heart attacks. And I'm terrible at making the bed. I turned to my wife and said, "See, that's why I don't do it."
I'm gonna tell Jason that tomorrow. I just do a pullover and a tuck.
Best way.
I know.
Just drag it back. Just drag it back.
Who's gonna see it?
Well, I guess we see it. We tried to in the last year, since the lockdown thing, we tried to get this philosophy of, treating the house in the same way as we would if somebody was coming around for dinner or to inspect it or, whatever, to do some work. And we just sadly realized we don't care if our guests see it messy. So
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
how
it.
we live.
Everybody should do that.
It's exactly what it looks like, whether you're here or not.
Really?
That's,
it's lived in, baby. Enjoy it.
Completely living. We've got 2 children. It's a toy shop, essentially, that we rent space from them in. And, well, no, it's not really, but it looks like a toy shop. And that's the way it is.
That's awesome. I love it. Having little kids is a foreign concept for me now. Mine are gone.
You're out of the game. You're home free.
I know. And this is what happens. You go looking for Bigfoot when your children leave you unsupervised.
That's right. That's right.
Right?
Got no kids.
Tammy still has kids supervising her, but she still goes. Anyway.
How old are yours, Tammy?
I have children ranging from the age 10 all the way up to 26.
Wow. Okay. That's a big family or small?
There's 7 altogether. 5 I gave birth to, 2 I adopted when they were teens. Oh, we have to go
Wow.
break.
That's amazing. That's amazing. My brother has 6, and when I was really struggling to get my kids to sleep, really struggling with the first one, I said to him, how did you do it? What did you know?
That's I just gave him the cue that we have to go to commercial break. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back with Andy McGrath. Yay! Jenna's dancing.
I knew I was going to miss that. I knew I was going to miss it. I just knew it.
Oh, you're doing fabulous. You're so much fun to talk to.
Oh, thank you. Same.
Yes.
I feel the same. I'm a bit hazy. You can probably see, but I'm here.
Will you make sure and tell your wife and your kids hello from us?
I will. I definitely will. If you're ever here, I mean, we definitely would look after you guys. She makes awesome mushroom borekish. It's like a little pastry thing full of wonderful cooked mushrooms. It's so delicious. You love it.
Ooh,
You absolutely love it. That's why I can't lose weight.
All her fault.
It is. That's what Jason says to me too. He said, "You cook so good. Look at my stomach. It's all your fault." And I'm like, I didn't put it in your mouth.
Still?
No, I'm in North Dakota right now. I am going to Texas here and for about a month and a half. That's all we can do right now with COVID. So.
No, that's fine.
Every time she talks about it, the time that she's going to be gone, it gets larger. I'm like, what?
Oh,
you
really?
were gone. You were going to go for 3 weeks. Your 3 weeks was what you were going to do, and then it was 4. Now it's a month and a half.
Well, we'll see.
Friends that tell you they can't have a holiday this year. We're just going to Barbados for 6 weeks, but we had to cut it. We're like, what?
Yes.
Oh well, look. We're hoping to get back to Israel this year at some point to see our family there, and it's been so serious and severe, the whole thing again, which I'll talk about. But yeah, it seems to be opening up too, and that's always our sort of same. That's our Texas, Thank you. It's a nice place to go, and the kids, they miss their family, so that would be really nice. Get some heat, get my Factor 90 back on, my poor Celtic skin.
Oh, no.
All right, it should be soon now.
Okay.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is the Journey Radio Show, and hey, we're the She-Squatchers. Won't you check us out online at She-Squatchers.com? Top of the page, you can find a link to click to go to our events page and see where we're going to be coming up in the spring of this year. We're excited to get out there to Washington State and North Carolina. We're going to be adding some other events as we confirm those, but they're in the works right now. So keep your eyes posted on that. Also, we want to invite you over to our YouTube channel, She-Squatchers Official, and please subscribe to our channel there and help us win the subscribers race that we're in. We need to win this race. We need everybody to come subscribe to our channel. And we're also on Facebook and Instagram, She-Squatchers Official. Please come follow us there. Tonight, we have a super special guest. We've got author Andy McGrath is with us. He's just come out with a new book called Beasts of the World. I can't wait to see this. I can't wait to see it. So we're going to learn more about what's new in Andy's research. And welcome back to the show, Andy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Again, I'm hazy, but I'm here and I'm loving it. Loving the catch up. It's just so good to see you guys.
Ditto, 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 ditto. It's been too long.
Ditto reminds me of the film Ghost. That's when I first realized what ditto meant. We don't have that over here. We didn't. She said ditto, or he said ditto, or whichever one says ditto. Somebody had to explain to me that means the same. We don't have it.
Oh, that's
we're
interesting.
ditto devoid. We're devoid of ditto. That's
we're devoid of ditto.
Ditto.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
That's so sad. Ditto's fabulous.
Send your ditto supplies to Europe. We need them.
If you'd like some more dittos, please contact.
Yeah, that's right. Send to devoid of ditto. Exactly.
Yep.
You're funny.
That's amazing.
So I'm just curious, what is your favorite cryptid now? Does it change? Is it always the same?
In laying out the book, the 7 volumes, because I've written this volume 1 Hairy Humanoids, but I've actually laid out all the research and the creatures for all 7 of them, all their And so some of them are really far out, and some are very normal. I still love lake monsters. I've always been a lake monster guy. Even before the Bigfoot thing, I came to that a lot later. And I think I'm just still the kind of a Nessie guy, you know. I mean, it's the classic one, or a lake monster guy at least, you know, and the other related ones. Water is so fascinating. Searching for lake monsters is so awesome, especially with some of the equipment that's available now. It's always going to be that. Nessie or one of his, you know, or one of her many friends. That's where my heart lies.
There's a new show on TV. I'm trying to remember what it's exactly called. Is it Alaska Monsters? Maybe.
Alaskan Triangle or something like
maybe
that.
That was it. But I was watching it the other day. It was on TV, and they started talking about these people who had a sighting of these lake monsters in Alaska. And I was like, what? They're in Alaska? And so I was just thinking of that when you were just saying how much you like lake monsters.
Yeah, I mean, there are sightings similar to Bigfoot all around the world where there's water. There seems to be some legend or mystery, modern day as well, about certain lake monsters. Interestingly, with lake monsters in Britain, you get this situation where we have established lake monsters throughout the country, most in Scotland, because that's where most of the lakes are, and then some in England and some in Wales, Northern Ireland, etc., and Ireland. But then all around the coast, in these little sort of lulls and coastal places, oftentimes there's even lake monster sightings around the coast near to the what would be, I suppose, an entrance of sorts to the highlands, into where Loch Ness intercedes. And a lot of people have theorized over the years that these are the same creatures, sometimes at sea, sometimes in the lake, which would explain, I think, some of the gaps in sightings occasionally as well. If they're not always in the loch, they're sometimes at sea. Well, that's a great explanation. They're seasonal creatures, or they've got a roaming kind of behavior.
So where do you think they go?
I don't know. I'd say Atlantic. I mean, the east coast of the United States seems to have a lot of lake monster sightings. Wouldn't be surprising if some of them ended that way, or perhaps, I mean, British waters actually are really, really rich in fish, which is why we're also having lots of sort of disputes with the European neighbours over these sort of fishing rights. They're really, really rich in fish, and it would make sense that they were actually going out to sea to follow movements and shoals and migrations and things like that. One of the things we discovered when we were looking at Loch Ness, lots of actually disputes with the European neighbours over these sort of fishing rights. They're really, really rich in fish, and it would make sense that they were actually going out to sea to follow movements and shoals and migrations and things like that. One of the things we discovered when we were looking at Loch Ness, lots of actually disputes with the European neighbours over these. They're really, really rich in fish, and it would make sense. I'm not speaking at the moment. Just
I was wondering, your mouth wasn't moving, and I was
no.
Nuts.
British people, we don't actually move our mouths very much when we speak. That's the truth. But and I have been accused of speaking in a circle. But this is something new for me.
Your mouth was moving, and I was
no.
But
I was hoping if I was quiet, it would disappear. But we seem to be stuck on a loop. Very much when we speak. That's the truth. But and I have been accused of speaking in a circle. But this is something for me.
Your mouth wasn't moving, and I was
Oh, now we've got you guys on the loop.
I'm sure that Sarge will get it fixed up pretty soon here, hopefully.
Thank you, Sarge. Please help us. In a circle. This reminds me of when I've got a loop pedal when the children want to play with the loop pedal, and they just love to talk and let it roll over forever and ever. And our whole house is full of these sounds building up and building up. Oh, thank you, Sarge, wherever you are. Thank you for sorting that out. Yeah, so yeah, it has been said that I often argue in a circle, and I guess that's proof. So
Now your wife can say, "Here it is. It's the proof."
there you are. You don't shut up.
So you were
Your mouth
you
is
were
not moving.
yeah. So you were saying, I'm sorry.
I don't even remember what we're talking about. Oh yes, so about migrations and fish movements. So what we discovered in Loch Ness was, dare I say this line again, that at certain Inver villages, that's a river mouth. Inver means a river mouth. There were lots more sightings than anywhere else around the loch, and especially in years where there was a low rainfall, there would be more insects and more salmon and trout because of that. These sightings increased around these Inver villages, these river mouths, because of course the Nessies, if they are real, were there waiting for the salmon runs and the trout runs to come out into the deep water so they could prey upon them. And I started thinking, well, perhaps then it's the same with these migrating fish when they go out to sea to spawn. Do they follow them? Do they follow them perhaps? Maybe that's when we're seeing these movements, and occasionally, of course, around the coast, we're less likely to see them in deep water, so that these lakes. But is that what is happening? Are they just following like an animal would, a food source?
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah. So the episode that I saw on TV, and it was just within this last week, this couple was in a boat in a bay, and she looks over the side of the boat, and she literally runs to the other side, jumps in her husband's lap, and says, "Get to the shore." She said there were two of them that had poked their heads up, and they were tracking the boat, and they were right next to them. And she said they were absolutely huge. That they could have just reached up and grabbed them.
Wow.
And all the seals, there were seals that were basically beached themselves up on this island on the rocks. They wouldn't go back in the water. They were sounds like they were after the seals.
They've been observed. They've been observed here chasing seals.
Really?
So they've been observed here chasing seals. I mean, it's not common. It seems to be something that's only observed when they're at sea. It's never been there aren't usually seals in a loch, so I suppose that's an explanation. Maybe it's off the menu in that instance. But yeah, there have been historical sightings of them chasing seals. See, I'll have to find that one. It was in the great book, Sea Serpents and Lake Monsters of the British Isles by, what's the guy's name? Paul Harrison, I think. Great book. Very sort of plain, simple book, published by Hale. Very cheap. I think it goes up to about 2001. And he just deals with he does it country by country, UK, England, Wales, Scotland, etc. Stories, recounting stories. And one of them in there, I'm not sure it's in the east coast of England somewhere. I can't remember the full details, where a guy observes a long-necked plesiosaur-like creature chasing a group of seals in a bay. And I'm sure that's happened in the United States a bunch of times. They've been observed chasing seals. It would make sense. It's a big protein source for a sea animal, especially if it's a very large sea animal. And a lot of people have seen these creatures come up, or seen their heads and necks come out of the water, immediately feel that sudden sense of fear and urgency that this thing could grab you, could take you out of the boat. It's not like there's a big shark underneath you. If you're in the boat, you're in the boat. Something that can pop its head up and sort of whip you out of the boat is something altogether different. Although I've not ever heard of any stories like that.
Well, that's what she was scared of.
In people, yeah.
And then when he saw it too, he was scared too, and he basically, he actually damaged the rudder on his the propeller on his boat. Because he took it too shallow, but trying to get into the shallows.
You're going to see he was already up on the jetty, still going or something.
No.
So, there's a creature here called Bow Nessie in Lake Windermere in Cumbria. It's in England, northwest England, and there's a lot of lakes in that area actually, and there are connections to the sea. I wrote about it in Beasts of Britain, and there was two couples. You can rent little boats there. The lake is literally only about 5 miles long. There's about 200-300 feet deep at points. It connects to other lakes, and there's an outlet to the sea through the River Leven, and which is not too long. And they were pleasure boating on the lake, but it was raining, so there weren't many people around, just them and a few other boats far away. And they saw this dark green, they said sort of long eel-like, but I think they meant the length, creature right next to the boat. They said they could have reached out and just touched it, about 30 feet long, swimming next to the boat. And similarly, all of them suddenly felt a fear that they had to get to shore, get out of the water right away. And I don't know if that's because they are dangerous. I've never heard of them actually taking anybody in any way. Or not that we know of, anyway.
Well, if they go missing, they're missing. Nobody's there to tell.
Right. That's right. If missing 411 taught us anything, is that people who go missing are missing, and
they are missing.
We don't know what happened to them, right? So, yeah, sure.
What do you think it is? What do you think Nessie is?
I'm with the old school. Everybody mocks this thing now, but I think it's an extant plesiosaur of some kind or some similar creature. All of the descriptions match it, and as much as we try to squeeze it into a giant amphibian like a salamander or eel or any other explanation, or sturgeon, none of the descriptions match them. They don't. Now, there was a thing recently where people bring this up now and again, of scientists have now discovered that plesiosaurs actually couldn't raise their necks out of the water because of the way that the vertebrae are arranged, or something else to do with that. And I think that's got to be rubbish. Now, a seagoing creature that can't raise anything but its head slightly out of the water is going to drown, breathe air.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make sense. And we are, once again, always assuming the, I mean, of course, there's a lot you can imply from fossils, but you can't really know. It's only recently they've started telling us that some dinosaurs had feathers, right? Before that, nothing. It would have been a ridiculous idea. And yet, here we are. And I think, science does seem to enjoy putting these impossible situations. We've got to be scientific. I'm not sure how, if that particular theory is solid. Yeah, so if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And that's my theory. Looks like a plesiosaur. That's my best guess.
I agree. That's what I think it is too.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? We've got coelacanths. We've got horseshoe crabs. They were around at the time of the dinosaurs. Why not these guys?
Heck yeah! Are you going to make a children's book
about
Nessie?
I thought about it. I have lots of children's books written actually that I never published about all kinds of things, but that, strangely, there's some really good kids books for cryptids, and I'm not sure how good mine would be. I would consider it if I got a good artist involved. I would consider it. Absolutely.
Did you ever? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Did you ever do the book Beasts of North America?
I started writing it, and it got imbibed into these. I think about 150 pages through, and I just hated it and thought it was really Bigfoot centric. And the thing that troubled me most about it was that, because it's such a well-traversed area, almost everything in the book had been really, really done to death by other people. And I just couldn't make it new. I couldn't make it interesting or different to what had already come out there. And I just shelved it. I stopped. I still have the material, some of which I've used in these other books because those creatures have been investigated. So that's great. But I'm not sure if I will do it. I may do it in future if I can make it good.
I have been watching, and it's not, a reliable source of information or anything, but I've been watching this YouTube show. It's called Nuke's Top 5, and there
Oh,
are creatures that people are catching on video that I've never heard of and I've never seen before. And I'm watching it, I'm like, what is that? What is that? What is that? And it just got me, so more into all of it, of all these things that we really don't know what there is out there.
we don't know, Tammy. We don't, and that's the whole point. Every year there's Strange Ark Facebook page website. They're very good at relating all of the new discoveries. They're obviously on search for these articles all the time, and there's always a new, a new monkey and a new frog and a new fish and this and that and the other, and sometimes very, completely new genus. Very occasionally, I just don't. Even trekking out in Britain, which is not heavily forested like a place in the US, we still only have 6.8% of our country is built upon is urban sprawl, and there's so much space. And I just realized people don't stray off the path, because why would you? You don't want to get lost in the wilderness. You take the paths that people know about. And in a place like North America, or let's say somewhere not as industrialized, let's say in the Far East somewhere, one of those jungles, you have no idea what's in there, and people aren't going in. They go and do their hunting on their set paths, and then they come home because they want to come home. And there are big predators around, and tigers and stuff. And you have cougars and bears and wolves. So just going off track for a couple of days, it's out of the question for most people. What's in those spaces that nobody ever visits? I know you guys know Russell. I remember hearing him do an interview with somebody when he talked about the commercial airliners that have been lost in the Pacific Northwest in the forests there, that they've never found them because the forest is so big. You can't find a commercial airliner, and there's several that have gone missing over the years and never been recovered. That's the size of the forest you're talking about. Who are we to say that something couldn't exist in those places? How do we know? And then when people say, well, scientists would blah, or we would have found them by now, like, have you been out there? Have you ever walked off track just for a few hours and then suddenly thought, oh God, I wish I brought a compass. Where am I? Was that the tree I passed before I turned left? Or was it the other tree that looks exactly the same? Just, it's tough. It's only for the experts, and there's not many of us.
Sorry, I was on mute and I couldn't get it to unmute. I am definitely a directionally challenged person in the woods, and I rely heavily on my team to find their way out.
I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a talent. It's finding talented people to hold hands with.
Oh,
right.
you are so smart. Look at you to hold hands with.
I'm not letting them go. We're in the woods. I don't care how uncomfortable they become. We're sticking close.
Right. Get off me.
Come on now. Just let me hold on here. Don't
Just let
go.
me hold on to you.
So we put the tent up this way, and I'm a city boy, but I've always lived in cities, and this trekking off into the woods thing, it's relatively new. So I mean, we went hiking in Scotland the last time I went there with Chris, and we did this little Sticks and Stones documentary with Chris Turner and some friends, and we just set off at night. And the thing that made me laugh was that Jerry, one of the guys, just before we set off, he got the little sort of sat nav global positioning on his phone. He said, "There you go." I said, "Why are you doing that?" He said, "Well, we're walking off into the wilderness in the dark. Don't you want to know where we started?" I was like, "Yeah, I mean, why are you doing it on a phone? Anyway, let's go." And we walked for about 6 or 7 hours throughout the entire night. And of course, how would we know where we ended up? It's just, I'm getting better at it. I mean, I'm studying in preparation for being out there in the wild. But yeah, I've got those city boy eyes at the moment. I could definitely navigate you through a very choppy and dangerous housing estate or project. Make sure that you don't stand on the wrong side of the escalator on the London Underground. That's a no-no.
We're
And
definitely going to be grabbing you.
yeah, exactly. If you're ever in urban territory, I'll say you're right.
Well, I'm pretty good at primitive camping, so I'll help you out.
Thank you. What are you all living in the same state? You're not, are you?
No, I moved to Virginia Beach in 2021, so
Wow.
I left them.
She left us in the cold. Jenna and I are in sister cities, so we're only like 10 minutes apart. But
that's nice.
Yeah.
Is that Dakota, North Dakota?
I'm in Minnesota and she's in North Dakota.
Oh, okay. Is
Yeah.
Lake Michigan near you guys? My geography is terrible. Here.
It's another state over, but yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of there.
Lake Superior is in Minnesota.
Aha. Okay. Is there a Lake Superior monster? I think there is, isn't there?
Oh, there's all kinds of funky stuff.
Yeah. Have to get into that. I do occasionally watch the US weather to see what hell you guys are experiencing from time to time. And it just seems to be, I mean, it's Arctic there right now, right?
Actually, it's been a couple of really nice days. It's been
really?
Above zero. Yeah, sometimes I go outside and bring the trash out without even putting on a jacket. I was like 30.
Yeah, 30 degrees. That's like a heat wave here when it was like 30 below zero.
Yeah, I mean, this is like
wow.
60 or more degrees that it is changing within 24 hours. It's not easy on the body. I'm sure it affects us in a lot of ways.
No, it must do. What's 30 Fahrenheit in Celsius? I'm just trying to find out. Okay. That is, I've got to know. I can only think in Celsius. I'm sorry. I have to know. -1. Okay. That's cold. That's definitely cold.
Which one? 30 degrees or 30 below?
Minus. Oh my goodness. Okay.
That's another story altogether.
Meanwhile, it's 70 degrees Fahrenheit here today. So.
Oh, nice. Brag it up, Tammy. I'm gonna get.
She just wants us to visit.
Wait a
minute. I know.
That can't be
we
right.
need to visit. What?
-30.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it can't be.
And then we have wind chills of -50. Really nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Go outside and your face hurts.
It's cold. It's just cold. It's cold. Yeah, we get things like that, but generally Britain is a kind of. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It's definitely too rainy. In general, in Wales where I grew up, I mean that's kind of. We expect rain in the summer on the sunny days. That's just a normal thing that would happen. At some point in the day, it would rain. That would seem quite normal. England, I find very dry. I like it. Dry and flat. You can see the sky. It's not just all these valleys and things. Yeah. Are you guys back out on expedition soon? Or
Not till spring, probably.
Okay. Where we go?
We're heading to North Carolina for sure.
Wow.
And Washington State. A couple times.
So, Washington State sounds exciting.
Yes. And then, of course, we are in Minnesota, so, we'll probably check out some spots here as well. But we're coming to the end of the show, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to tell people how to reach you if you want to be reached.
Yeah. No, I love to be reached. So, yeah, you can find me. Facebook's the best place to find me. All the main social media platforms. The website needs updating. So go to Facebook, facebook.com/beasts of. You can find me there, or Beasts of Britain on Instagram, Pinterest, Tumblr. If you want to email me with sightings or to just chat about stuff, I will talk to you a lot. That's Andy Ron McGrath, ANDYRONMCGRATH @gmail.com, or for bookings or whatever conferences. I'm up for that kind of stuff. Yeah, and just contact me there. Tell me your story, or just want some information about cryptids. Let me know.
That sounds great. Well, thank you for coming on the show tonight, and we are excited to have you, and so grateful. And we hope we'll have you come back another time.
Absolutely, I loved it. Thank you, guys.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Mwah.